Walmart comes out with a stunning announcement that, it deals with this shutdown, this EBT push. But what does it mean for you as Americans? It will blow your mind, because what we've realized is not only do you have to pay for your groceries, your tax dollars go to pay for someone else's groceries, and then when all of a sudden the taxes get taken and given to someone else and they shut down, then they're going to charge you more. So we paying 3 or 4 times our grocery bill that we should be paying, along with inflation and interest and debt. We're going to discuss what Walmart and Kroger and every big food chain that you purchase food from just stated about this EBT thing. Shows that it's all one big party, and the one that's getting taken advantage of is you and me. Also, we're going to talk about banks. See what you don't realize, during this shutdown, our government has been pouring extra debt, printing more money, getting more goods into the market. It's actually cost us even more than when the government was running, it seems. Wait till you hear how much the Fed has been putting into banks. What it shows is our economy is so destabilized. Not because of Trump. Again, I'm stating this for the record. It has nothing to do with this administration. It has everything to do with the policies that we have put ourselves in America, to allow Congress and Senate to be voted to keep passing all these bills that ends up putting us into money problems. People are not paying their mortgages, not paying their cars, in debt with credit cards more than they've ever been. And we all say it's okay, just because we seem like we're just keeping it above float for a little bit anyway. Wait till you hear this story about a bank and about several banks that are getting funding from the Fed. And then lastly, let's talk about the food that Bill Gates is feeding to our animals. He said this climate change thing's not real, but we're going to come up with this food that's going to help cows be better for the environment. Now remember, he came out and stated that all that was kind of a farce. Remember last week that he was going to push for, these more, that was going to be his new venture. Well, all of a sudden we realized that the cows that are eating this new feed that he gave is starting to kill them. This is what happens when we allow people that do not believe like us to be in control of us and our food system. Why do we allow for our dependency to be on government, big business, and big players who don't like us and that does not want the best for us? We're going to discuss that, along with some shocking footage from John Rich that he shared about a FEMA account from 2020. Another picture shared from FEMA account. This is what it shows. Let me back and say this. If we're willing to be weak and dependent, this is the kind of life that you're looking at living. We'll discuss all this today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. We are so humbled by your coming back, and hopefully there's something in our video that helps you be wise, have a common sense approach, and try to see the best way that we can be independent and live this crazy life that we have. Because I'm telling you, man, we are hit with propaganda, we're hit with fake news, we're hit with all this kind of stuff all the time. But ultimately we have to stay focused and start seeing and researching things for what they really are. So guys, let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the story with Walmart, because this impacts you, because it's Walmart, Kroger, all big food chains. I want you to listen to this story that just came out, and it should upset you just really bad. It should really upset you. Let's go over it. It says, SNAP collapses. It's going to threaten Walmart, Kroger, and other retailers. Millions of people that shop at these stores could see a price increase because of the result. It says that because the government shutdown is going on, Walmart and Kroger and other major retailers are starting to look at ways to raise the cost and increase price to help them cover the losses of what the government basically subsidizing programs did. Now, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. They don't need your money. They have plenty of it. But they don't want to lose their profit shares, because that's how they make money. That's how it looks good to the markets. That's how they suffice the boards. They want to keep that profit share going. Well, instead of helping Americans out and saying, okay, we want to lower the prices, which, again, Walmart has probably lower prices than most grocery stores. What all these big food chains are saying, though, is because government is not willing to help other people like they have been helping, that we've been recipients of that money, we've got to graduate that cost all the way across the people that are still shopping. So basically what that means, it's called graduated cost recovery if you're talking in like accounting terms. It means you're taking the loss that you're incurring, that you know you're incurring, which is basically government funding, subsidizing, which I told you, anytime government touches something, it ends up breaking, and this is the point of it. It pushes across the rest of the population. So that's a socialistic mindset too. We have been paying for your groceries and my groceries. Like when you go to the store, you're going to buy your steak, your chicken nuggets, your bread, whatever you're buying from the store. You're paying for it, correct? Okay, so when inflation hits, you're paying more for it, correct? Correct. You know, you saw from 2019 till now, there's still higher prices on most eggs, chicken, beef especially, and several other things. But during the 2020, 2021, 2022, remember it went crazy in pricing during the Biden administration because of COVID and of course their bad policies. But here's the thing. Not only are you paying for your food, not only are you paying for your inflation of your food, not only has prices not went down, guess what else is happening? Walmart Kroger now is saying, look, you've been paying your taxes to EBT and basically to the government to basically give your money away to these people to buy what they wanted at Walmart. But since government's still taking your money now, you haven't got a tax break. You realize that, right? Even though the government shut down, they're still taxing you at your tax bracket. They're not going to give you a reprieve. So you're still getting taxed. No one knows where that money is going now. It was going to waste. Now it's going to, we don't know because no one's actually getting the benefits. So therefore, now Walmart and Kroger are saying, well, even though you're paying for your groceries and inflation, even though you're still getting taxed by the government, and because we're not getting that government fund and subsidy for all the other people that couldn't pay for theirs that you were paying for, their groceries, we're going to actually raise your prices more. So for the common America who is living paycheck to paycheck, the millions of people who are struggling already, credit card debt, auto delinquency, mortgage problems, they're going to have to pay more at the grocery store, all because their taxation going to EBT is now not getting passed back to Walmart, so therefore they want to make more money on you, the consumer that's actually paying. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. But that's what happens when we depend on other people to provide for us. Prime example, they said Obamacare, the average Obamacare recipient of government health care, this is what the Democrats are pushing for now. Just remember, more government intervention in our life. The average Obamacare recipient, someone who's on the insurance for the government, they said it's going to go up a whopping 30 to 60% in 2026. It says the average American family of 4, now I'm a family of 8, the average American family of 4 on something like Obamacare or on one of the state-run or government programs will see a $30,000 to $50,000 cost per year just in health insurance. So what I think I've realized more and more is the more we allow other hands in our life, the more we realize it doesn't actually benefit us. We think it does. There's people going to the polls today and they're so happy to vote for Mamdani because they want free government food and free government housing and free transportation. That's what they're voting for. But remember, what did I just say about Obamacare that's supposed to be free and help people? What did I say about the EBT? All these things are not helping people. They're putting them in the cages and prisons that the government has set up to make sure that you are always dependent on them and you're going to come to them and beg for them to help you. So if Walmart Kroger puts more pressure on the people who can't afford the groceries, that means they're probably closer to more government subsidies themselves, right? What if all of a sudden I can't pay for mine? I'm going to go sign up for EBT or disability or Medicaid or Medicare because I need government help. Because I can't afford my groceries anymore because I'm having to pay more than everybody else. Again, well, since I can't afford my groceries, I sure can't afford health insurance. I guess I've got to go on the government plan. Well, it's too much, so I'm needing Medicare for all. So you see how that unrest and that whole problem is a government problem, and then all of a sudden the only person that can be the solution is the government. So then they're wanting to put you on the government plans. So what Walmart is exposing is honestly how bad a policy they have, is meaning they're subsidized by the government. They're a multi-billion-dollar firm that's still getting tons of money from the government because of EBT. But more than that is that they're willing to still stick you because ultimately government is not paying their fair share. So government wants to keep robbing you of your tax dollars. You don't get a reprieve. And Walmart wants to take more of your money, along with the fact that you're already struggling day in and day out. And it all goes back to who's the problem? It's actually not Walmart. The problem is the government. They've made this whole mentality better. Let's make the problem, then let's just become the solution, and then let's make a bigger problem so then we become a bigger solution. We all know that AI is reshaping the world very rapidly. Near half the workers worldwide fear of unemployment and the growth of AI. Customer service, marketing, software, there is no field that won't be untouched by AI. But the real issue is that people are still living in a bubble. They still think they won't be affected. And then all of a sudden, it will hit them like a truck. But I want you to make a smart choice on this Black Friday. While most people are spending their money on things that lose value, the smart ones are investing and learning what's shaping their future. Which is why I've teamed up with Outskill to bring you a 2-day live AI mastermind. Training which has been so far attended by 10 million plus people. They're hosting a 2-day live mastermind workshop this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, usually this training is around $395, but Outskill is running a big Black Friday special and offering my viewers a free seat at the table. I highly recommend you attend this workshop because not only do you get AI certified, but you will learn how to build AI-powered workflows, use AI tools, and eventually businesses generating close to $5,000 weekly. This workshop is rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. And you get trained by experts from companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, NVIDIA, Google, and so many more. This is people who have shaped the AI landscape. In just 16 hours, you will learn 10 AI power tools, master AI when it comes to Excel and spreadsheet, presentations, start building your own AI agents and workflows, and even join a community of other like-minded folks. And that way you can collaborate with them for lifelong relationships. But wait, there's more. If you attend both days, you will unlock bonuses worth $5,000, including a prompt Bible, a roadmap to monetizing AI, and your own personalized AI toolkit. So if you're planning on an exciting weekend, there's nothing more exciting than planning your future. Save a free spot for yourself. Link is in the description before the chances are gone. Join the community so you will never miss a beat. The whole purpose is for us to stay on top and know that we're protected, and know that we can handle what's coming when it comes to AI. Check out the links below for Outskill. Can you afford $50,000 a year in health coverage? I don't know anybody that can. You know, my business offers health insurance for my employees. I don't partake of my own insurance because I can't afford it. It's not worth it to me. So we do Christian care sharing, medical bill sharing, because I just believe that health insurance is a complete mockery. So we chose to pull out away from that. The reason we grow a lot of our own food because we don't want Walmart setting my policy and setting what we can or can't spend for the month because we have to worry about paying for our groceries and someone else's. We don't want government's entitlement programs and their insurance. We want medical bill sharing for Christians to work together to pay other people's bills because that's the way it should have been set up in the first place. I want to show you two things. I want to show you this picture, and then I want to show you this video from John Rich. This was a 2021 video he reshared. I want to show you this. These are different facilities. This picture I showed you was from Howard Springs Quarantine Facility. People were abducted and put in these, forced and admitted to these camp and arrested for leaving. That was the plan. That was the plan. These high fences, that was the plan, to put you in little prisons to take control of you because we had to make sure you were getting this because of this dangerous situation going on in the world. See, do you realize all the things that government touches in our life actually has caused more harm than good? Can we just admit to that? On top of all the things I've already showed you, Rand Paul, he came out and said, we've got to raise Social Security because we can't afford it. It is insolvent. It needs to be raised. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. I want you to listen to this. This was, I thought, very well said. It says the problem is not the fact. It is not the fact that Social Security is going broke just because. The fact is that government has abused Social Security and given most of it away. It says that listen to this, DOJ turned over 9 million illegals that were collecting Social Security to Kristi Noem. It says that even though Rand Paul is griping and complaining that we should raise the limit, and he's blaming Trump for the problems. Our government has been paying Social Security to 9 million recipients that are not even supposed to be recipients. Elon Musk came out and said last week, he said, not only are we funding the openly funding the illegals on Social Security, he said the reason that all these ones that were dying and that were still on getting this quote-unquote checks, he said they were not actually getting checks, but it allowed for the Democrats to use that fraudulent money that was supposedly going to these paying citizens, which were 120, 130, 140 years old. He said the case was that they knew they were not going to those people, but it allowed them to have that extra funds to then send to everyone else. So really, is the problem with Social Security going insolvent and broke because, if the Americans' fault? No. It's because your leadership's fault. It's because the people that they're bringing here illegally to give stuff to then totally benefit them when it comes to Congress and all the benefits they get. Democrats have abused this system. Republican establishment have too. I'm not taking that for granted for sure. They have abused it as well. But I just showed you several instances when it comes to our food, when it comes to big business, when it comes to government, when it comes to Medicare, when it comes to all this that government wants to help you with. The problem they're trying to help you with is the same problem that they caused. And they want to be the solution to it and then turn around and become the problem again. All this is just going to make you fully dependent on a socialist-style government. Watch if you don't see more socialism coming from the Democrats in the next election. Just like the Mamdanis, because what they're doing is they're speaking to people and acting like they're going to give everything to them for free. And what people don't realize, they're going to take it hook, line, and sinker. And if they really did the research, they'd realize all this is just a big sham to put you in those same places like they were trying to get you in 2020. Didn't work with this, but it sure will work when you start going towards people's pocketbooks. Watch. Now I want to move on to this next story. This will blow your mind. This is from a bank chart that just came out. It said that breaking U.S. banks are getting broken. It says the Fed just did it again. Another $24 billion injected in the U.S. banking system. That was just yesterday, that makes $125 billion given by the Fed to the banks in just 5 days. Now, if that doesn't tell you we have a broken system, if that doesn't tell you we are in debt up to their eyeballs, if that doesn't tell you that they're looking to put you on a new kind of reset of monetary policy such as crypto, I don't know what will. When the 5-day mark, the Fed has given $125 billion to banking systems all over America to hold them afloat. That's not counting the $100 billion we just borrowed in our federal government just during a shutdown in 6 days. $100 billion we needed. We are in debt up to our eyeballs, people, and if we don't pay attention to this, we are going to put ourselves in a massive depression. So now, what's happening with our banks? Well, what's happening with our banks is we're using fractional lending. What's happening with our banks is that our government has spent way too much money. What's happening to our banks is people have spent way too much money and they don't have the money to actually pay it back. I'm going to tell you right now, personally, this week, I'm debt-free. I'm debt-free. I don't owe anybody anything. My business is fixing to pay off its last little note this week as well. I am fully debt-free. You know why I want to brag on that? Because I want to be different. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to feel like I have to go buy a $100,000 car and borrow it for 8 years. I don't want to have to think that I've got to do all this, and pile up massive loads of credit cards and then look for the government to fix me. Look for the governments to bail me out. Look for more loans to cover me. I talked to a business guy this week, and he was trying to borrow money to fix he was expanding his company. And I said, why don't you slow it down and just build up to a point where you can do it yourself? I said, that way you're not having to borrow the money. Because he was borrowing the money at like 6% interest. He was having to hawk his house up, hawk his land up. And I said, do you realize not only is that bank not safe, you're not safe. You've just put your whole life in jeopardy over hoping your business does well in an economy that we just saw is absolutely struggling. See, we're in a dangerous, dangerous place. Yeah, the first stuff that we talked about is bad. We have AI that's coming along, like we were just talking about, trying to make sure we understand it because it's going to absolutely take over if we're not careful. And then on top of that, our banks and our government has borrowed this week $100 billion for our government, $125 billion for for private banks in America. This goes back to the EBT thing. If Walmart cannot make it without government funds, if farmers cannot make it without government funds, if our banks can't make it without government funds, if we can't make it without Medicare, food, and all this stuff provided by the government, if Section 8 has got to be provided to us so we can have a home, then what part of our life actually is independent anymore? This bank warning is a big deal. Bank local. Find a good credit union or a good local bank that's not tied and hocked up just like every other national bank. Please be very, very careful, because when they start talking about pocketbook issues, it ends up changing people's mind. And all of a sudden, all the things we wanted to do well for America, like Doge and all that, it goes out the window. We forget about it. And like Elon Musk just said, he said if you realize what Doge was doing, it was absolutely getting corrected the problems that our government has been funneling in the dark. 9 million people were on, 9 million illegal immigrants, not including the 20-something million that were over age 120 that was getting quote-unquote Social Security. You wonder why it's broke Rand Paul? You wonder why it's broke Republicans? It's because you were not doing your job and actually making sure everything was checked off correctly. You know why food stamp programs are broken? Because 21 states that are Democrat-led will not and does not want to have a driver's license, Social Security number, or a form of identification to get those benefits to those people. You know why? Because California is the biggest recipient of food stamps. Just go check your numbers. You know why? Because they have the most legal immigrants. Also, 1 in 3 in Los Angeles are getting food stamps. You wonder why they have so many congressmen? You wonder why they have so many electoral college votes? You wonder why there's a supermajority Democrat state? Because they will allow more people to get on government subsidies because they know they put them in a prison, basically in California, to ultimately control them into voting for themselves. Just think if California didn't gerrymander, was not able to feed and house all these illegal immigrants, I bet you money that state would end up becoming a red state. It would allow for Democrats to never win again. Now the truth is really coming out. A story I want to bring up, and this is from Denmark, because remember, all these Western cultures, especially European cultures, started embracing this Bill Gates move of climate change. You know, which now he's come out and said that he does not even agree with his own climate change because he's all for this, which is even worse. But I want you to listen to this. This is coming from Denmark. It says the law in Denmark has now come out and said that the Bovaer feed and the way that they were trying to do this climate move for cows is actually causing harm. On Friday, we had our first cow down. They were interviewing a farmer. And said on Saturday, 2 more cows were down. This is the reality of the story. It says more farmers are coming out stating that their cows are dying since being forced to consume this new Bovaer animal feed that Bill Gates created. This stuff is getting into people's milks and meats as well, clearly damaging the cows for sure. It says, just think, if it's killing the cows, and for some reason we're harvesting the meat and milk out of them, what's it going to do to humans? What's it going to do to humans? This is the same guy who you're supposed to trust with RNA. This is the same guy that you're supposed to trust with digital ID. This is the same guy that goes to the White House, no matter if it's Republican or Democrat, and says this is exactly what we're supposed to do. This is the same guy that owns more farmland in America that's putting more GMO crops in the ground and destroying our ground. This is why I tell you to be independent. Every one of these stories, dealing with the banks, dealing with the food system, dealing with Walmart, dealing with Kroger, dealing with Bill Gates, dealing with Social Security, every one of these situations are supposed to be people who help you, are supposed to be helpers to the American people, are supposed to be not only most of them getting paid by the American taxpayer, but they're supposed to help us. Instead, they're keeping us in the cages and in prisons that they want to put us in so they can control us. You know what's not controllable? Cash. You know what's not controllable? Gold and silver. You know what's not controllable? All this food. You know what's not controllable? Someone who has the right to bear arms. You know what's not controllable? Someone who's not in debt. You know who's not controllable? Someone who's homeschooling and trying to grow his own food. See? That's why they don't like people like me. Because of the independence element. If you want to keep on being independent and voting for all this and going to these people to help you solve all the problems, what you're realizing is they're the ones causing the problem. then they're trying to solve the problem, then ultimately you're the one getting sick. You're the one that's getting the problem and then not getting a solution, and then you're going to them for more solutions to the problems they create. It's insanity. It's insanity to trust all these players instead of just saying, you know what? God gives me a brain. Maybe I should be the one over my food system. God gives me a brain. Maybe I shouldn't be going in piles of debt. God gives me a brain. Maybe I don't need that. That's just a want. Maybe I could just save up for it. Maybe I am supposed to raise my children, not the government. Maybe I am supposed to pay for my own house, not the government. Maybe I should try to grow a little food so I don't have to buy as much from Walmart. That might be the smartest thing. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. We hope this video helps, because all I try to do on all these videos is just simply say, wake up. If you open your eyes, I think you're going to start seeing the world for what it really is. And I don't know none of them that's really trying to quote-unquote help you. Pay attention to these stories, guys. God bless.